Today's video was specially requested by one of our amazing followers. And in this tutorial, I'm going to show you step by step how to make cassava starch for straightening fabrics right from the comfort of your home. If you have ever wondered how the traditional starch used for straightening clothes and starch swallow is made, then this video is for you. The best part is that this method is simple, natural, and made from fresh cassava. So without wasting any time, let's get started. To begin, we need some fresh cassava tubers. The quantity you use does not really matter. Just work with whatever you have available. Whether it is small or large, the process remains the same. The first thing we need to do is peel off the outer skin of the cassava. What I usually do is pick one cassava tuber and cut it into 3 to 4 smaller pieces. This makes it much easier to handle and easier to peel. After cutting, I make a small incision through the skin and carefully remove the peel. Cutting the cassava into smaller sections really saves time and effort during peeling. Now we are going to continue repeating the same process until all the cassava tubers are completely peeled. Now that everything is nicely peeled, the next step is washing. We need to wash the cassava thoroughly to remove every trace of dirt, sand, and impurities. Please take your time during this stage because you do not want even a single grain of sand entering your production. Another reason why proper washing is important is because the leftover cassava pulp can still be used for other productions after extracting the starch, so cleanliness is very important. Now that the cassava is clean and fresh, we are going to cut them further into smaller pieces so they can blend easily. At this point, there's something very important you must do. While cutting the cassava, make sure you remove the caul at the center and discard it. This is what I mean by the caul. That rope-like fiber running through the middle of the cassava tuber. Removing it helps improve the quality and smoothness of the starch. Now everything is nicely cut, so let's move over to blending. Feed some of the cassava pieces into your blender. Add enough water and blend until very smooth. Because we already cut the cassava into smaller pieces earlier, the blending process becomes much easier and faster. Once blended smoothly, transfer the mixture into a chiffon cloth or fine filtering cloth with a bowl placed underneath. Now gather the cloth together and squeeze out as much liquid as possible. The milky liquid coming out is actually the starch extract we need. After extracting the liquid, repeat the same process again. Blend another batch, filter it, squeeze out the liquid, and continue until all the cassava has been processed. Now we are done extracting all the liquid starch. And here I have them inside 2 separate containers. The next step is allowing the starch to settle. Leave the containers on the stove for about 6 hours so the starch can settle properly at the bottom. 6 hours later, you can see that our starch has settled beautifully at the bottom of the containers. Now, carefully pour away the clear water sitting at the top and discard it. I'm also going to do the same thing with the second bowl. If you look closely, you will notice that the starch is not yet 100% pure. There are still some brownish particles and impurities resting on the surface. To remove those impurities, we need to wash the starch. Add enough clean water into both containers and use your hand or a spatula to dissolve the settled starch back into the water. Work through it properly until everything becomes smooth and fully dissolved. Now, I'm going to combine both batches together into one container and allow it to settle again for another 6 hours. After another 6 hours of resting, the starch has settled once more at the bottom. Again, carefully pour away the clear water at the top and discard it. At this stage, this is exactly how cassava starch is commonly sold in our local markets and used either for straightening clothes, during ironing, or even as food in some traditional recipes. But if you want to preserve it for longer term storage, then drying is necessary. To dry it, I spread the wet starch evenly into 2 trays. Make sure you spread it out as flat and evenly as possible because this helps speed up the drying process. Once properly spread out, take the trays outside under direct sunlight and allow them to dry completely. This is the following day, and as you can see, our cassava starch is now fully dried. Now that everything is dry, I combine all the dry starch into one tray and proceed to blending. Add some into your blender and blend until you get a very smooth powder consistency. Once smooth, transfer the powdered starch into your storage container. And that is it. Our homemade cassava starch is ready. This starch is incredibly versatile. Apart from using it to strengthen and stiffen clothes, it can also be used in food preparations, paper craft projects, local adhesive production, and even in some DIY cosmetics and skin formulation as a natural thickener. So making your own cassava starch at home not only saves money, but also gives you a multi-purpose product with so many useful applications. If you enjoyed this video and learned something valuable today, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more amazing DIY tutorials and homemade production. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. God bless.